Alright, so on the back you've got your RGB controller. You can either run a legitimate RGB controller or pull that connector and wire it straight to just one color. You've got your standard speaker connections here, and let's see if it fits in the hole that the previous owner made. Alright, looks like it's going to work perfectly. Here's to hoping this works. For some reason, two of my drawers in this boat have damage done here on this lip. There's a latch that screws in right there, and it's busted clean in half. So I put a bunch of Elmer's wood glue in there, and I've got it clamped up. I'm gonna leave it overnight and see what happens. But I'm hoping that takes care of it, or at least well enough to where we can gingerly just open and close it and have the latch still work. Alright, it's a few days later. I put all this stuff back in here to insulate. My old heater here couldn't keep up when I increased the square footage, and there's some holes that leak in that bulkhead that I gotta fill in with some more of the C-Ray used, like a opaque, clearish silicone. I'm not sure what I'm going to use, but I'm going to remedy it. Either way, there was some breathing holes in that bulkhead created by the previous owner that I'm going to remedy, and it was letting cold air in. But anywho, here we are. We are going to cut a hole. This is going to be to fix the damage under the boat. The professionals will come in once I get this opened up and all the foam scooped out and sanded and wiped down with acetone. Those guys will come in and make it look like it never happened. But that's where we are now. Alright, none too surprisingly, all that foam is wet. All that's going to have to come out, and it's going to have to dry in there. So it's going to be a long process, but I got to get to it. Alright, I got this oscillating cutting tool from Milwaukee. And I got a kit with a bunch of different cutting tools for the end of it. I'm going to start trying to get this foam out of here. I was digging at it yesterday, and it's not really wanting to come out, so let's see what happens with this cutting tool. Well, I'm making progress, albeit slow. Hope nobody ever has to do this. It's not a fun job. Alright, here's about 2.5 hours of scooping, cutting, sanding, and then wiping down with acetone, and then one last vacuum. So tomorrow's the big day when the professionals come in and tell me what happens next. Alright, the professional said dig out the foam on the other side, because that crack probably runs through the stringer and over here. I don't at first glance see evidence of the crack, but there was evidence of water in there. It's drying up now, but I guess it's going to warrant more investigation. Just a little update. You can see how much cleaner this is now from the first time I showed you guys this area. We've been working at it, steam cleaning, and using a mold and mildew stain remover from West Marine on it. We think we can get it even a little better than this, and eventually there's going to be blinds here, but we're making progress on cleaning. We haven't done the headliner yet, which is filthy, but there was a lot of interest in these overhead lights from the 370 owners community. And what I ended up doing is nothing fancy. You have to take this upper panel off here, and there's just like 6 or 8 screws that hold it on. But you take that top panel off, and I grabbed the 12 volts from this guy, which is why it's not lit up right now. And I put one of them circuit strips from West Marine. It's like a 4-place, so like 2 power, 2 ground, and you distribute the 12 volts from the back side of that to these other lights. Now, these lights, I don't actually know how these panels are affixed to the boat. I have a parts boat that I'm going to experiment with and try and find out for you guys. But what I ended up doing was taking a bunch of these sizable flatheads and then very, very carefully working them in and prying that away from the ceiling. And then I just kind of ran the wires, the positive and negative, back to that circuit strip. They're made by, I think, Blue Sea. This is what they look like. Yeah, they're from Blue Sea. They're terminal blocks. West Marine has them on the electrical aisle. So get yourself like a 4 or a 6-place and just mount it on the back side of that panel. Use the 12 volts from that light there and distribute it. These LEDs don't pull anything really for amperage, so it's not really taxing on that wire. I wanted to replace that light right there, the gray one, the factory one, which is why I never bothered to wire it back up. But yeah, that's all I really did. I kind of just marked out 3 evenly placed lights, kind of gave it a dot with a Sharpie, and then I drilled a hole up from underneath here and right kind of center of the light, and then I just kind of worked the wires back. It's a pain in the butt. It's a huge pain in the butt, but that's how I did that. I know you guys were all asking how I did it. There's no magic. It was just frustrating. And you just kind of hide the wires, tuck them, and run them all the way back over there to the corner. Today was kind of a cleaning day. We're still kind of at this point here. I'm not in the building that the fiberglass guys work out of yet. So we're kind of at a standstill. I'm just kind of cleaning up my tools and stuff. What I did get today is our new shower bilge, which goes under the floor here underneath me. Kind of underneath where the air conditioner is right now. It goes in here. And I'll probably have to rewire that and probably run over to West Marine a dozen times for some adapters. But we're going to clean all that up and put the new shower bilge in. I also went around and replaced all these bulbs. They were LEDs from the previous owner, but not that bright. And they were kind of bluish. This is a little more yellow, and they throw out a hell of a lot more light than those little guys that were in there. I got that from the same place that I get these. They're like RV and marine fixtures that are factory LED on eBay. The same seller has these super bright LEDs. And I think this temperature of light is more period correct for the boat. That just doesn't look right to me. It looks too modern, like you're in a hospital. And you can even tell, like these guys here, these ones from West Marine, those aren't like that blue, white, or crystal white. They're more of a yellow, white. These ones, I had no choice. The only long, skinny fixtures that West Marine had were these more modern crystal white. And, you know, those were fluorescent to begin with, so they were a little bit whiter even from the factory. So that's that. That's kind of the update for today. All right, so I got into this for a second, and I realized I should probably bring you guys in here. Nothing fancy. Pretty much all your bigger cruisers that have showers are going to have something like this. You take off that that top piece there that exposes this. The more modern ones have the screws on the outside. They'll have like a tab off the side where you put the screws in. These older ones, for whatever reason, they ran the screws through it, which is prone to leaking, which is prone to rotting out whatever's underneath it and just being nasty. So we're going to replace this with a modern Rule one from West Marine. There's another one that they sell called Johnson Pumps. I don't know how good those are or aren't, but there is another brand I noticed on the shelf. It's $10 more, and like I said, I got no experience with them. Every pump I've ever done is Rule. So you can squeeze this red tab here on both sides, and the pump will pop out of that housing. You're just going to go around, take all these screws out, undo all these clamps, all those clamps. What these clear ones are with the stainless steel on the inside, those are drains from the air conditioners, I believe. So the condensation out of the pan makes its way here, and then that condensation's pumped out the side of the boat. That's the actual shower there. And I think that's the outbound that goes out the side of the boat. So that's that. I will bring you guys in for an update once this is all removed. All right, so it's the middle of winter here. I had to go next door to West and buy this Milwaukee heat gun, but I warmed up these hoses. This corrugated tubing here, if you followed my 390 Express restoration, that's the same tubing that Sea Ray used on my bilge pumps, and it cracks very easily. And you can't like adapt another hose to it. Once it's cracked, it's done. Then you'd have to run a whole new hose. So I was very ginger with this thing. Heated it up and worked it off slowly, because I really don't want to have to run all new tubing, either all the way to the fitting on the side of the boat here, or all the way under the shower there. So I ended up getting it off after warming it up and working it off with the pliers with light pressure, and then putting this flathead at the base of the hose and working it away. So that's a win. It was inoperable. I know this because this whole cubby hole down on the floor was filled with water. It's puking out of this thing. It was full to the top and coming out the area between the glass and this ledge. So they were just taking showers with an inoperable pump. And actually, I just found out when I snipped these wires, I snipped the switch first. So as I was clipping it, I made contact across the wires, and the pump came on. So it was a dead switch that they had in this thing. Easy enough fix, but I'm not going to mess with this original shower bilge. I'm going to a modern one. So I could have gotten away with a much cheaper fix by just fixing the switch, but here we are. So I'm going to throw this away and kind of start cleaning up a little. I'm removing the fittings off the old one in hopes that they go right onto the new one. Make it a much simpler install, but we'll see. Alright, so of course I didn't notice this. The shower drain is on the opposite side now of this new one. So instead of what would have been the shower draining in on the left and outbound being on the right, it's reversed. So I went over to West Marine and cobbled together this. So let's see what happens. Well, after quite a bit of fiddling and probably 9 trips, literally, to West Marine, I took it back and took this home and soaked it in bleach and soap and scrubbed it. And I'm just going to rebuild the original one. There's a lot of things I don't like about this design, but it is what it is. I can't fiddle with this any longer, and I don't really feel like repiping all of this. Um, Eventually, I'm going to revisit this area because I want to get all this glue residue up and clean all this nice and put some sort of flooring or something down. But I just don't have it in me to redo both the 1-inch feed coming from the shower and the 1-inch outbound. It's just too labor intensive, and I got way more things to do right now. So, to the best of my ability, I'm going to clean this area up and clean all this up and just rebuild the original shower bilge that was there and abandon the idea of putting a modern one in. Alright, I got the original board back down, cleaned up, and put some silicone in all the holes. The 4 perimeter screws hold it to the boat, put some silicone through there, cleaned up that hardware, and we're ready to start reassembly. Alright, I got everything screwed back down. Everything's been siliconed, and new hose clamps. Did a little more cleaning, and we're just about ready to start wiring this thing up. Alright, so all the wires for this shower bilge were wrapped up in this crazy bundle of electrical tape, and I can see a lot of it's not factory C-Ray, which is a theme here with this boat. But this is what I found when I was peeling back this bundle of electrical tape here. You can see how much electrical tape I already have in the garbage from this little area right here. And instead of a butt connector, they did this. Probably the same person that used the RCA connection for the LEDs, which one person commented wasn't that big of a deal, but yeah, this is the quality of wiring we're dealing with. Here's some more of that wonderful wiring. I think the yellow is where factory C-Ray ends, and they spliced into it without butt connectors, which is awesome. Just so everyone knows, the U.S. Coast Guard actually wants you to use these here. These are the Anchor brand. These are the heat shrink butt connectors that they weren't using. And you crimp them and then obviously heat them up, and they melt down and create a watertight connection. There's a reason we have regulations. It's best practice. I mean, I'm not saying this could happen here, but if these pull apart and the positive starts arcing out, it could cause a fire. I mean, it applies for anywhere on the boat. It's just the right thing to do. I mean, it doesn't take an expert to realize that twisting 2 wires together and covering them with some electrical tape is not the right way to go. Alright, so I took that mishmash of wires and reduced it down to only what was factory from C-Ray. I put these ring terminals on the end there, that they're heat shrink. And then I took a little bit of heat shrink even yet and put it a little bit back on each wire. The far right wire is the always hot coming from the boat. The next one over to the left is the hot for engaging the pump. And then the third one on the far left is the ground. The extra wires, I believe, are for the LEDs up on the helm. there's a board up there with a bunch of LEDs on it and tells you which one of your pumps is running at any given time. Bilge pump, shower bilge, stuff like that. So I'll get to work on actually wiring up the shower bilge. All right, got the convolute back on the wires, got the terminal strip mounted, and let's see what happens. All in all, not the way I really wanted to do this project, but I cleaned it all back up, and put it all back together to the best of my ability, and should last at least the lifetime of the boat. So that's that, guys.